last night I got to full hydration. I was pissing all night long.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
3 times.
Welcome to your 50s.
It's an annoyance. I do not approve.
On the positive side, you're not going to get any these. And I said, I will take some water. I was drinking beer. And she goes, nonsense. There's water in beer. You don't need any.
There is.
Yeah, so it's nonsense.
Oh, Jesus. We good?
On me.
On me?
Only on me. That's the only thing we have.
The cameras aren't working?
That's the only one. It's the only camera that we have.
Anything else that matters?
Okay, I got to let all... Oh, they look completely dark. What the fuck? You can't switch any cameras? Because your camera was the only one I had to reset today, so let me do that.
Should I maybe stop the live then?
And by the way, I got to leave at 7:20. I got a GU game.
Oh,
Tonight?
Yeah. LMU.
Fuck off!
Mm-hmm. The big one, St. Mary's on Saturday.
yeah.
That's
Nice.
huge. Huge. Huge.
Is that one on yet, Jackson?
Is my new
Not yet.
inbound alert better than inbound?
No,
I
we
think
all
it's
threw
worse.
up a little in our mouths.
You guys make fun of me for inbound. It could be worse.
Well, you made it worse.
Yeah. It's my MO. No David tonight. It's going to be a good night.
There we go. Now we're good.
I am planning on widening the doorway, just so you can get your ass in here.
Horse ass.
With my ego.
Yeah. Before we begin, sponsor mentions and an in-house plug. Packfiller Online Store is your place for some fun and ever-expanding Packfiller pride. Hats, caps, there is a difference. Mugs, shirts, stickers, jerseys, which are running low. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 jerseys left, and more. Take a look at packfiller.com and show off your love of bikes. Next off, Untapped Maple. Pure Vermont maple is the core and clean energy is the result. Did you guys see they have new grape maple aid?
Mm-hmm.
Grape.
I bet our friend Brent
Soderbergh. Yeah,
he's
I'm
sponsored by
gonna
it.
try that. I'm gonna try the grape. I have to admit I've tried the not the maple aid, just the gels. Thank you, and stuff like that. And those waffles are brilliant. If it's anything like their other offerings, stand by taste buds. They also posted a brilliant homemade granola recipe the other day that actually looks really brilliant. You use some of the syrup and anyway, it looks good. Use the simple, pure stuff and works perfectly. Use the link at Packfiller and Giro. That's right, the pioneers in modern helmet design, along with brilliant offerings in footwear, accessories, and much more. I just picked up my brand new Aries Spherical for 2024, and the design is nothing like I've ever seen before. Ventilation looks actually really good, and the sweat pads. I'm really hoping the sweat pads are as good as they look, because they finally push my salty acid sweat where it belongs, away from my eyes. I can't wait. Be sure to check them out at Giro.com, and when they ask you who sent you, tell them the Packfiller. Now let's go play bike, shall we? Okay. Oh, I'm going to be sighing a lot today.
Yeah.
A lot. Well, folks, have you ever just had one of those weeks? Let's just say I've had one of those weeks. More to come. Regardless of the chaos, we are here in the Rim Break Bar, and it's time for the longest running cycling podcast. I got to say something other than running, because it makes it sound like running/cycling podcast, and we are definitely not that. It is time for the Packfiller. I'm Pat Bulger. Let's see who's here to play along, shall we, with our prologue question. Gentlemen, if you were to weigh in on the entire Taylor Swift-Travis Kelce conflict in the sport of throwball, what would be your initial thoughts? That's our prologue question for tonight. Careful, the Swifties are
Listening to this podcast.
and a very, very dedicated group. First off, he is planning on tonight's shows being great, but hell, there's always next year.
Yeah.
Mr. Paulmain, how are you?
Doing
man?
well, thanks.
Good. Talk to me about your opinions of Taylor Swift watching a football game.
Who? No. It is a psyop.
Oh!
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
she's
She's going. This is all a hoax. She's not going to get married. This is so that they can influence everybody to vote for Biden.
Yep. It's an election interference.
Yeah,
This is?
That's
Is
what it
people
is.
are claiming?
They're saying.
Oh God! That's just so sad.
Oh, it is.
So
I had
sad.
some conspiracy theorists today talking stories about this, and I was like,
About Taylor Swift?
"Oh yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Well, then he's
About this thing. Did
yeah."
he believes
Yeah.
it?
Well, not just that, but there was another one that yeah, she's had abortions, and that's why she's now with Travis. You know, to try to cover it as being they're in a relationship. And I'm like, when did you ever bring? I'm like,
Where do
these
you
things
get
are
this
so.
stuff?
Oh God, I was looking at him where are you getting any of this?
well, Sam Waples is here, and there's your introduction. So go ahead.
I think that my reaction is just who the cares?
Yeah,
God, it
she's
just
watching a
pisses.
football
It's
game,
a
man.
football game. It's
Yeah.
another person watching a football game. Who cares?
And you'd think that it's I'm pissed off. She's ruining the NFL. Blah 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 blah. It's hey, I thought you left after Colin Kaepernick took a knee. I thought you were gone.
Yeah.
Why are you back now?
Yeah. Yeah, it blows my mind that people are that bothered by this. But
Yeah.
It's insanity.
It is.
Fourth, David, I was going to say he's planning on tonight's show being great, but only if there's free beer. Fourth, he's planning on tonight's show being great if the rest of us assholes give him a chance to talk. Mr. Jackson Bolger.
Hello. My thought on it all is that it's not really as big a deal as a bunch of straight guys are making it seem. But because I was talking to my wife about it the other day. We watched both the playoff games this last weekend, and she was shown 25 seconds
Yeah.
of the entire game. That's like a 3-hour game.
Yeah.
She's shown for 25 seconds of it all. And people are saying, what an L for America. Lamar really choked it because Taylor was in the house. It's no. Lamar just had a really bad game, and, it would just, what it was. It wasn't Taylor's ruining the NFL. So what, your wife watches now? Oh, no. You got to say hi to her.
Yeah.
It's not a big a deal.
I will say that, the morning news show, my wife always turns on the Today Show in the morning, and they're making almost an uncomfortable story about it. They're going, well, the flights are going to be, is she going to make it to the game? And they've named the flights after Kelsey's jersey, and the return flight is her
1989.
Yeah, something like that. And I'm just going, okay, you guys need to shut the fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it, it's I don't know Taylor Swift from the hole in the ground, but she seems like she's just kind of there enjoying the game. She writes good music, and she likes his company and he likes her company. I mean, you don't get pissed about anybody else being there.
who about all the other spouses that are there?
Yeah.
Nobody's bringing up any of that. And there's plenty of other celebrities that are married to these football players.
Yeah.
One thing that was kind of cool that she did was she was celebrating with him after they won the I think it was NFC championship. And they or no, it was AFC. Excuse me, AFC championship. And she was she said, "Oh, great job and everything." And then she's like, "Let's go find your brother." Instantly, she's like, "Jason's right behind us."
Yeah.
She brought Travis to
That
it. That was super cool.
She
That
backed
guy's
out of the
a
way
legend.
too when they were
Yeah.
talking. Yeah. That guy.
That guy's a legend.
Yeah.
I want to meet him. He's
Yeah.
a man of the people.
Who's he voting for?
Yeah. I think that's the thing. It's just she could say, "Hey, I'm going to vote for candidate A," and all of her fans are like, "We're going to." That's not a bad idea, or they might take advice, or I'm not saying they're all mindless robots wearing red hats or anything like that, but they're all going to vote a specific way, and so they're scared about that.
I don't even know why it has to be a political thing. It's just Taylor Swift and
Everything's
Travis Kelce
political anymore.
dating each other.
But it's just all of these weird, far-fetched, conspiracy theories. Where does this come from?
Yeah.
Yeah. Our society
bored people.
Our society
Bored, yeah.
idolizes celebrities.
Get on a
What's
bike
new?
and ride. You don't have the energy to
Yeah.
think
Right?
like that. You
Yeah.
Yeah.
do something other than sit in front of a computer and dream up things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get to all my bullshit, how was everybody else's week in terms of cycling? We had a warm stretch, really warm stretch.
Yep.
Anybody get outside?
No.
Not a single one of
Nah.
us.
I thought about it.
You saw my text. I mean,
Yeah.
I had The bike that I got from
Do you just
Jack.
randomly have bikes and parts just so you can go downstairs and take a picture of them when you don't want to ride?
No, it was like, crap, I could see the weather changing. And it even said, like, today was supposed to be a good day, and it really wasn't that good of a day. Mm-hmm. And I got bogged down with family obligations anyway. But
yeah.
So I was sitting there thinking Saturday, I need to put this together. And I kind of procrastinated and thought, I'll do it tomorrow. And then I stepped outside to let Flanders take a wee. And I went, oh, shit, I got to go get this bike together.
Yeah.
And it was a little more complicated than I thought. Or I knew it. As soon as I saw it, I thought, oh, it's in a bad situation.
Oh,
so.
shit. No.
But, I got it up and running for the next good weather.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Yeah, I wish it would have been outside. It was 55 degrees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How did everybody else's workout week go?
I'm in the thick of home reno.
Oh.
And so I redid all the plumbing in my house on Wednesday. Or no, that was Tuesday. I was after the podcast. I went home. I finished at 4 a.m. Woke up, went to work. And I did another 2 a.m. morning on like Thursday night or something. So that's been in the way of biking, but I have still been hitting my 3 rides a week.
Yeah.
I want to get all this out of the way because the cycling season is upon us. I leave in a month to go to Maui for 12 days.
With your bike.
With my bike.
Yeah. Don't hit a guardrail.
I'm
Don't pull a Chloe.
Yeah. Or a Sam.
Yeah. Or a Sam. Or Karsten did it on his arm, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ripped the flesh
nasty.
back. That was gross. Jackson, how'd your week go?
It was good. Just kind of sticking with what I have been doing the entire time. It's one of those times where it's funny because it feels like all the indoor rides are hard, but you see yourself making improvements in certain areas, which I guess is like, it's good all around. But, it's getting to that time of year where now you start to see the 40s and like you think, oh, I could probably handle 40s. And so I'm slowly but surely kind of gearing up to get ready for outdoor weather riding.
Are we all past the phase where if it's raining outside, you'll go ride?
At my age.
Yeah.
If it's not sunny, I am not going to be out there. Overcast.
Racing,
okay,
but
if it's drizzling, I think if it depends on the time of year. Now it's like there's a potential that if it's raining now, we're on the cusp that temperatures can drop sway. And we were on a long ride. Remember, my hands froze up.
That was horrible.
It went from like 39 degrees to like 31 and just a matter of seconds.
It got horrible.
So,
that was a bad day.
Yeah. So,
I mean, I've gotten to a point now, especially after living in Portland, where like it's not worth it to me anymore. My wife, who's training for a half marathon, which I like, she's super motivated, and I think that's super cool. But she went out and she ran in the rain this last weekend just because she was like itching to get outside, and I was like, honestly, like big up to you for that because there's no chance that I would go out there and ride right now.
No.
But also, I'm just curious. Do you think that's something to do with like cleaning the bike and all that? Because that's what it is for me.
Yeah, Michelle and my wife and I were talking about that same thing, and I said I would go out and ride because I have the gear, I have the clothing, and all that kind of stuff. It's just the bike is so filthy when you get home, and you just
I mean, I don't know. It's riding in the rain. It's practically cleaning it while you're riding it. So but I hate being cold and wet. It's just there's no worse feeling than being too far from home and you're just freezing. Like I hate that. So that's why I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And I hate to tell you guys, don't get excited because our marches usually suck.
Yeah.
It depends. We usually have like those like mid-March where it's like, whoa, it's 70.
And then like, it's 30.
And then it's,
yeah.
What sucks is when that 70 is like all Thursday or all Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it's like,
come on. And then the weekend's back to cold and rainy. And can't eat again. All right. I'll tell it. Here's my story. I'd pull up my shirt because
you got shaved
my
again?
My chest hair has been shaved in like a bib. It's really bad, and I still have my hospital bracelet on, and I still have I hate when they put the what do they call it? IV in right on your wrist. It's so tender right down in there. Gross. Hurts so bad. So anyway, last Tuesday after the show, everything's good. We had a good show. I was walking up the stairs to go to bed. Just all of a sudden, heart goes full back into AFib. I'm like, shit. Okay. I'll take my, I have a little magic pill that I take and, stuff like that. And I'll probably be fine in the morning or maybe in the next 18 hours, something like that. Didn't go away. 36 hours went by and I was like, okay, this hasn't gone away. I called I emailed my cardiologist, cardiologist, cool guy. And they said, okay, if it's been more than 24 hours, chances are something's wrong. We're going to schedule you for a cardioversion, which is where you lie on the bed, they knock you out and they hit you with the paddles. And so the whole week, by the way, I really think that every Apple should make like a iFib, like a defibrillator you could just have in your house and just put it on your chest when you go to sleep, and when you're in your deepest amount of sleep, it just automatically goes. It just naps you. Wouldn't that be great? I could just be like, oh, I'm an AFib. Good night, honey.
Or if it's just like you charge your watch to 100%, and you just press a button.
Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, don't touch me for a minute. Yeah, exactly. I just wish they would do that because, the whole week I'm in AFib, which means I haven't ridden once, because when I'm in that state, you're working at maybe 30%. I mean, a flight of stairs, you got to wait halfway up. It just sucks ass. And so, what was I going to say? Oh, I'm a little out of it too, by the way, because they knocked me out completely today, and I'm not drinking alcohol, so don't at me if you're looking at this is NA stuff. And then on top of it, on Friday, I'm working in the theater, getting things ready, and I'm hanging this new projector we have. And so my arms are over my head for like 2 hours kind of a thing. And I'm installing this thing and all this kind of stuff. And my shoulders were a little sore, and I got home that night. And in the middle of the night, the pain was so bad, I couldn't sleep. I mean, just like throbbing pain in my left shoulder. And I'm going, hey, heart problems, left shoulder. That's not a good mix. But
wow, it's like an axe in the back of between my shoulder blades. What is this?
Yeah. Probably not related.
Yeah. No, I'm okay.
And so I made it through. I got up the next day, had to go back and work again on stuff. And by that time that night, I was cooking dinner. I was rolling enchiladas, basically with one arm resting on something and just kind of doing them. It was so pitiful, and I was moaning while I was doing it. I was just like, my shoulder was so bad. I mean, this was, as a cyclist, you know how to deal with pain. This was a 10 on a pain scale, and my wife just like, okay, sit down. We put hot pats on it and stuff, all that kind of stuff. So I went to the doctor for that one too, and apparently I have calcium.
Bone spur?
No, calcium on tendons, deposits on my tendons from years of use and abuse and stuff like that.
It's from drumming.
Well, I also thought it was probably from the mountain bike and stuff like that, and the abuse that the shoulders have taken over the years and stuff like that, and so. Calcified tendon that does need more looking into. So in other words, I'm pretty much falling apart.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're getting old.
Exactly. And I'm not going to get, I just wanted to get that out of the way because we did post, and oh God, I made the biggest dumb ass high schooler mistake today. I'm in the hospital. I take a selfie as a joke, and I accidentally posted it to Instagram like a dumbass. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want that up there now. I haven't told my parents that I'm in the hospital. I haven't done anybody that I'm in the hospital, stuff like that. And so I deleted it immediately, not thinking the fact that my Instagram posts immediately to my Facebook, which is where all my parents spend their days.
Not an Instagram.
Oh, shit. And so they immediately started. I guess my dad texted my wife like 5 minutes after it was posted. I was like, it took me about 4 minutes to realize it was on Facebook, and then I deleted it, and then I saw shit. So,
cat's out of the bag.
Yeah,
Might as well put it back up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, I wanted it as a joke, but stuff like that. So this got me thinking about and don't stick with me here for the because I'm going to sound all philosophical and depressing and shit. The fragility of it all. I don't want to. What I want to talk about, just to kind of fun out here, is I have this term, and I'm sure other people use it, of Camelots. Times in your life where you don't have the wherewithal to think about the fact that what you're going through is a really cool time. And in terms of cycling, the riding, the racing, I can think of the teammates was so perfect that you just thought it was going to last forever, and it doesn't. I can think of, for example, the early Arrivee years when we were juniors, where there were 50, 60, 70 juniors at the start of a race. We had group rides 4 times a week at least. Big crowds, and stuff like that. The Washington Classic was here. I'm at my parents' house, and we're, their teammates coming in and out all the time. We had, Olympic athletes staying in our house every summer for the Washington Classic. And you don't think about the fact that this is an amazing moment in time. And I call those Camelot experiences. Also, I could think of sometime, Jackson can recall my wife's aunt and uncle. We used to go over there every weekend and just have an amazing time. And we just thought that was going to last forever. And you don't realize that it's on a limited time scale. Has any of you guys experienced, and Jackson, I know your cycling career is kind of short-lived, but have you can go with your soccer years or anything like that, but has anybody experienced what I call a Camelot in terms of your riding time? Teammates, era, something like that?
Western cycling. It was amazing.
Yeah. What made it so?
Yeah, the teammates. It was just the climate of it. It was everybody loaded up in a car. I'm sure it was just like what you guys had back in the day.
Yeah.
The whole team loaded up in the car. We went to wherever the race was that weekend. You raced Saturday, Sunday, and went home. We traded during the week, and it was awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think back and I had great years with Audi and fun teammates, and it was fun to race with David more so there competitively. But yeah, Western was foundational to me, like falling in love with the sport, and which is what I was saying last year. The Montana stage race reminded me of having the whole crew there, and we all just hung out, and it was a good time.
Yeah,
so.
I think that that was kind of a flashback of that. And my wife, I remember looking at me going, "This is fun." I'm like, "This is what we used to do every weekend back in the day." Jackson, do you have any experiences like that?
I mean, if we're really being honest about it, soccer was never it. I
get that.
I love the sport, and it's something that I will always have within me, but it's never something that I think, look back and think, God, those were like the times that I made the best friends, because I never did. But I think, I guess just being honest about it. But it's funny because I feel like the only experience that I've had in sort of that Camelot experience is like what we've had so far and what's to come in the future, and I'm feeling really motivated towards like some sort of team this year. I really want to I don't think this falls on any of us, but I think that we all do it in a way, but I really want to have that team culture. I feel like this last year we had a really great time in figuring out how one another wants to race, and I think that that's something that is sparking that lightning in a bottle a little bit. And I think that, I mean, that's where I go. I mean, it's funny too, because I feel like I live in a time. I was talking to my hairstylist, listen to me, but
my
you're
barber.
so trendy.
Yeah, I know I am.
That's what I call mine. I go to a hairstylist. Did you say that?
Mine's pretty much a barber.
Barber?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, I hairstylist, barber, whatever you call it. But that we live in that time where I think because of COVID, I think that I'm one of the generations that never really got to have that reckless youth in a way. And so
That's a great point.
Yeah. And so I think that Camelot of you don't really realize that all of these amazing things are happening around you is almost not taken away from me, because I think that I got a special is a funny way to talk about it, but a weird time of my life in such I would say crucial developmental part of a person's life, and I kind of have to now fill that back in. And I think that my Camelot is still on its way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep thinking about the years in college that were taken away from you due to COVID were some of usually the goofiest years of college that you go through, your sophomore, junior, kind of senior years. Those are just when everything you know,
It's awesome.
yeah, you can live a full week on ramen and hot dogs and just be, you know, and go. We got enough money to get to this race, and you go, and you know, or something like that.
Right, and I feel like that's something that I kind of wish I was able to get in a way, because there was a time in Portland when I raced one time, and I felt like an excitement and a spark towards that. But now you don't. We're in the world where when you're young, you don't really get those like reckless years. You don't get that time to like mess up, live on ramen for a week, because if you do, then like it sounds terrible, but you're homeless. Like that's what COVID created, I think, in a way. So it's weird for the young people.
Yeah, we would bring these tubs with just white like Wonder Bread and cheap peanut butter and jelly, just tubs of it, and that would be our lunches. We had the Quaker Oats, but it was so sticky and it was gross. And that was your breakfast,
How are
and
you
then
through,
spaghetti for dinner every weekend.
I had a teammate who'd go for a weekend race, Jim Franzen, Paul, you know him, who he would go with a bag of those rolls from Great Harvest Bread Company that were like 1 pound hockey pucks each. Yeah. He'd take that and a jar of peanut butter, and that
the dude
would be
was fast.
He could fly.
He
it's
used to
just
do
calories at that point.
Yeah.
Like
he could beat people on a 1-speed cruiser, and I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Lunatic. One guy. Yeah. One day he just decided he was going to ride across the country, and he just left.
Yeah.
On his 1-speed cruiser.
What a legend.
He just
last
rode
time
away.
I heard about him, it was probably 25 years ago. I asked Gino if he heard from him. He says, I think he's in Denver, and he has a burrito rickshaw that he rides around and sells burritos.
Love it.
Didn't he break his saddle at the Olympic trials in '84? And that was that stage. I mean, that went up the top of 5 Mile and dropped down.
Oh, that was a tough.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking of Taylor.
Tom Taylor
did that. It wasn't France.
God, these are hilarious.
Yeah.
What was yours? The years where you went down to?
Yeah, it was '89. I think because for me, when I made the decision not to go race in France, I just said I'm just going to enjoy and race locally and just no pressure. I mean, up to that point, you know, you're just full gas and you're trying to get as much information, and you really become, you know, kind of very selfish about, you know, relationships. I mean, my grandmother turned 80. They had a big birthday party, and I said, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go race. And, you know, you miss parts of life when I got to do this. This is the time. And then when I made that decision. So 89, it was just like, God, this is fun. Just there's no pressure. I just race for the fun. And then 90 later, that in January kind of launched when Borky and I and a couple other guys, Steve Clorty and Mike Meyerly, we went down and trained for a month, and they trained for 2 months. I had to come back for work.
Yeah,
a month and a half, and down in Arizona. And that season, I got on to Team Spokane, and it was like we had a huge team. We totally dominated. That was a good year, a very good year.
I mean, and there's always something that ends it. Usually, it's just kind of a phasing away.
Yeah, our team
just start
died
to kind
after
of go
that
away.
Year.
Yeah. And I can think of there's a guy who used to ride here by the name of Bruce Hunt, and he used to constantly get us all to get excited about just a simple Saturday morning mountain bike ride. And this was at the kind of the true kind of birth of mountain biking, when it was all kind of coming in, and you know, suspension was starting to show up, and it was starting to get better and better, and we would, you know, we'd start off with, you know, 3, 4, 5 people on a mountain bike ride, and then it would be even more and more and more, and then mountain bike racing really started to kick in. And that, you know, I've been fortunate enough to be through what I would label like 2 or 3 Camelots with my cycling career, and it's that was such an amazing time. You know, my wife and I getting in the car with our dog and driving up to Silver Star in Canada and watching the World Cup finals, you know, and some of the legends of mountain bike racing. We're just sitting on there on the side of a ski hill with our dog, you know, and just watching John Tomac and Giuliano Furtado and Ned Overend and all these riders. And I was just like, you don't even think about it, you know.
And
then
Tinker.
And Tinker, yeah, absolutely.
Didn't you interview
I
him?
talked to Tinker.
Yeah,
I've talked to Ned too.
Yes,
I had Ned
you
on the
have.
show. John Tomac is impossible to get a hold of, but you know, and Juliana's really hard to get a hold of too. But it's just and you don't, like I say, you don't expect them to end, and then they slowly just kind of disappear, and then you find yourself going, God, that was really cool back then, you know. And so This whole lying in a hospital bed made me think, shit. Is it all going to end? Am I going to have to get an e-bike? Because I don't want one.
And I think I'm just interested because I did have that experience of racing every single weekend, having that crew that you traveled with, and it's such a rare thing in my generation that people have that. Because I think about, you don't have that, and so racing looks totally different for you. But to me, in my optimism, I think for you, so I would look at it that's exciting stuff ahead.
We're entering one. We're entering one.
Yeah.
For you, almost.
Yeah. That's what I've been saying. It's not necessarily a negativity that I have towards the future. It's just more of an optimism. And like I said, I do feel some sort of motivation to help in cultivating some sort of fun team culture. I think that a lot of cool things could come over the next few years that we all do together. And it's just endless possibilities,
Yeah.
Well, speaking of times and changings and stuff like that, Paul brought up something to me of interest to the table this morning. It looks like this year's Strada Bianca is going to have more kilometers, 215K. Now, I want you to think about this. A 215-kilometer race with more gravel sectors, 15 sectors, and more dirt road sectors, more dirt road kilometers, 71 kilometers than ever before. So a really long race that is on gravel and dirt roads.
Where are you going with this?
I'm personally a huge fan of Strada Bianca. It is one of my, if not my favorite spring classics.
It's what World's Gravel should be.
Is the line between gravel and road getting more and more blurry as we go? Michelle and I last night before I went to bed were watching a thing on Unbound. And I was looking at some of the sectors they're on in Unbound. And they kind of look like some of the sectors that you see in Strada Bianca.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then they're on road sections. And then they're off-road sections. So when does Strada Bianca become a gravel race?
Never.
Why?
Because
what makes a gravel race and what makes a road race with dirt/gravel sections different?
The history of it. That's what makes it.
But Strada's not that old.
But it's older than
How old
Unbound,
is it?
It started off as a Gran Fondo type thing,
Yeah.
and I think,
I can look it up.
96 or something, and then it became a pro race.
I thought it was 80s.
No, it's a
70s.
baby. It's one of the baby races.
Yeah. But I think that it will never be considered a gravel race. That's truly what it is. But I'm interested to hear.
07.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what. So
2007 was in that.
When it
The
became
first
a
Strada
UCI,
Bianca.
UCI race.
Holy shat!
And who won it? Fabian Cancellara.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So what
He's
makes it what would make it a monument?
Mileage, typically it's history. First of all, has been around for most of those have been around for over 100 years, but they were a monument before that anyway.
Right, but isn't there a distance?
Yeah, you have to be over I think it's approaching 250 kilometers.
Oh, so I would be interested to see the
215.
day that this would be considered a monument one of the days, because I think that a lot of people in their own personal minds classify it as one of those. And so I wonder if they're trying to inch towards that as because the popularity's there, the viewership is there.
Yeah.
It's just obviously the history is not quite there because it's so new in the distance. But I think it's a fun race. I don't know if there's necessarily a distinction that can really be made between gravel and a road race, but I don't know. Does there need to be? Just like Americana and country.
Well, but those are different categorizations.
But exactly, what's the point in doing it? They both pretty much sound the same.
Not some of the country I've been forced to listen to.
But if we're really gonna categorize into tiny little pinholes,
But okay, but we're running into these situations where, especially European gravel, where you're seeing the Gravel World Championships, that looked a hell of a lot like Strada Bianca. Mm-hmm. And so are we going to need to, I know we don't need to, but for the sake of a podcast, should there be a delineation in terms of distance in terms of percentage of gravel versus percentage of road, and and things like that.
How I feel about it is I feel like we need to make the distinction, however, between European and American versions of this one niche part of the sport. Because American gravel is such a different thing from the European. I think that European is a lot more tame, and American has sections of single track in it, and it's just not the same thing. The UCI is never going to capture that, as annoying as it is, that original essence of what it is.
The spirit of gravel.
Yeah, because it's just such a different thing. When you say that that Unbound and and Strada Bianca are the same, they are like, Unbound is much gnarlier than a Strada Bianca is, because you can't ride a road bike on these Kansas roads. It's that flint.
Yeah,
it's that flint gravel that's going to shred a tire you move wrong on at all. But it's the white Sterrato roads in Italy that you can pretty much drive a car on and not tell the difference. It is a very strong delineation between the two.
Yeah, it's just in Europe they just don't have the barbaric roads or trails that we have.
Yeah.
As a general rule, to hook up a race, other than doing a loop, that little, I think on this matter, I think gravel is at the stage where it becomes, on some promoters, a gimmick. It's getting gimmicky.
Yeah, sure. I agree.
And that's my concern about this. The gravel sections start pretty early on this, and one of the things that makes, to me, like Paris-Roubaix or even Flanders, that it's getting to those sectors becomes as big a part of the race is the sectors themselves. So you start seeing everybody setting up teams getting into it. But if you're running constant gravel, if it was constantly Paris-Roubaix, Pavé, that would be a boring race. It really would not be a good. People would be flatting, and it's kind of like
the attrition of an all Pavé race.
Well, they'd have to shorten it for
insane.
sure.
Insane.
Yeah. So typically on a Paris-Roubaix out of 250 kilometers, 50 kilometers that, and it's usually towards the end. It starts at like 100 and. There's 50 kilometers is Pavé, and I think about it starts after 120, 30 kilometers. It's just pavement till they start hitting sectors.
Yeah.
So, and if you look at that map, it's like gravel. You hit pavement, gravel, hills. And riding, not that it's real, but riding those on Arrivee, I'm like, these freaking
steep hills.
Oh,
they're
Jesus.
really steep.
They are massively steep. Yeah. And the descents, I was sitting there, because when you go down, I'm like, that's butt clenching, scary stuff.
And that's the thing, where those are kind of gravel riding roads, or where gravel originally was created. Sam, you and I both done Ephrata.
Yep.
Would you classify that as a gravel fondo?
Oh, not really.
See, but
I mean, there's
98% of the people do it on gravel bikes.
Yeah, and I did, and I will do it next year, but that's just because I think the ideal setup would probably be 30s.
Yeah.
Maybe 32s, but I can't fit that on my road bike.
Yeah.
But I do. I think a road bike is the way to go on that. I've known a few people that have won it on a road bike. So
I did it on a road bike.
Yeah.
But I flatted 4 times.
Yeah. I wonder if tubeless would be the way to go on it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Terry Prime, who listens to the show quite a bit, he said everybody's fastest time has been on a road bike with 28s.
Yep.
That's the answer.
It's just, you go down that one descent. And that's the thing about a road bike. Like, I remember doing Rendezvous Plus and some of those back rollers.
Thank you for bringing that up. I was going to,
the back rollers you're going, I remember doing 35 on those. And I am just like praying to the Lord that my wheel sticks.
Yeah.
And because, like, you're just, the front wheel's going everywhere, and it's just like, just please keep going straight.
Paul, describe that race. And you might even know the kind of distances of gravel and dirt roads versus paved.
Yeah, it's about, on each lap, there's six miles of gravel, and I think there's 18 miles of, so it's about 1/3 of it's an 18-mile lap. 6 of it is gravel, and then 12 on these laps.
Tame-ish gravel.
Yeah, it is. It depends on the type of year. Every once in a while, they'll grade and gravel. There was one year where the week before I went and did a recon, and it was that descent that you go. I mean, I was totally thinking I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking I'm gonna find, because usually cars packed down. You can find like in the middle of the road. There's usually it's pushed aside from traffic from both directions. There was nothing. It was freshly graveled. I tell you, my butt cheeks slammed. So it sounded like Thor.
So what was the total mileage of a lap?
I think it's 18 miles.
And gravel was
6 miles of that
6
18.
miles. So you're under half.
Mm-hmm.
A third. Yeah.
Third. Yeah.
And it's again that I've won it 3 times, and I won 2 times on 23s.
Jesus.
So 23C.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, that's when it came out was 2011.
Yeah.
And I had tubular, so that's.
It just gets me starting to, I know that it's okay to classify a gravel race as something that could be classified as a road race and vice versa. But we have these categories now. So, just because people show up with a gravel bike, it doesn't necessarily classify it as a gravel
I think
race
the
in terms
difference
of what we
between
see over here.
A gravel race and a road race, though, are truly the categories. Like if you're a Cat 4, if it's registered as a Cat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever race, it's a road race.
More of that mass start feel.
Yeah, if it's a mass start though, like it's a Fondo, that's a gravel race.
I think that one thing that also makes these type of races so entertaining, a Strada Bianca or Ronde van Palouse, is that the underbiking of it all is what. And when I say underbiking, you didn't bring the correct bike for that day. You didn't bring like enough gear for it. It feels kind of sketchy and a little dangerous. The underbiking of it all is what makes it so entertaining. The fact that nobody's riding the right bike in Strada Bianca is what we all go there for.
Yeah,
the fact that nobody rides the right bike in Paris-Roubaix is what we all go there for.
Mm-hmm.
That's the entertainment of it. If we're watching a gravel race, they've perfectly chosen their bike to the specific level and everything. Nobody's underbiked. Everybody's exactly perfectly biked, and it's just that's what gravel is that you've brought the right bike to the right show.
Yeah.
Road racing in these classics is you brought the wrong bike to the wrong show, but who's the strongest person in this group that can control that bike well enough?
That's well put.
That is really well put, because I think on the same note, gravel is becoming underbiked also because people are starting to take their gravel bikes on trails where I'm watching on YouTube and I'm going, it's a fucking mountain bike trail, man. That's a single track mountain bike trail. You could haul ass on a mountain bike on that trail.
And it depends anymore, though, because now we're introducing suspension forks in gravel bikes, drop bar bikes. There's Dylan Johnson is one of the lifetime Grand Prix riders, and he rides a drop bar on a on a full suspension mountain bike.
Yeah,
but he just prefers it that way. So we're starting to see
Tomac did it first.
We're starting to see these like weird Franken bikes from all different iterations of cycling, and it's fun. But I think a lot of the purists find it a little bit annoying.
Hi.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a purist.
I think also that's you bring up that point about being underbiked. The first couple of years of Ronde van Palouse, because there's been gravel, like we had Spokane River Road Race before.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as we climb and then we had sections later on. We put sections of rolling gravel roads.
We just call them dirt roads too.
Dirt.
It was dirt. Yeah, you got a dirt climb, and it's like
tire selection and wheel width
12% or 14%, and you're barely able to keep your bike in a 42-21 upright.
42, 21, 20. Some people ran 24s for the wimps.
Yeah,
like went up Charles on a dirt road.
It was horrible. Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah. But I remember the first couple of years of Ronde van Palouse, people were bringing their cross bikes, because they thought, and they'll run wider tires. But the pavement section, they paid dearly for that. It was not the same.
It's like riding with your brakes on.
They were great in the gravel, but that's only 1/3 of it.
Yeah.
So you come out of the gravel, okay, and then people just start hammering on the.
Yeah.
So
game over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can't wait for Strada Bianca, and I'm cool that they're adding more. I love it. And Paul, you mentioned the Arrivee app, and I really need those guys to pay us for all the time we give them, because it is cool to go out and look at the actual roads and then have it on a realistic setting and realize that you're going to fall off your trainer because they're such steep. Bitches.
And you think,
and then you're looking at the quality of the road, and obviously they shot this video in a car, but you're just going, holy shit! If I was just riding these roads, I would be toast.
and you have to think about it. This is gravel, and if you're doing a 18% climb, you're not standing like you can on a trainer to get over the top.
Yeah.
You have to sit.
Or you're extremely tilted back in an uncomfortable position where it doesn't feel like you're standing. Yeah.
It's cool. It's epic. Speaking of dirty stuff, cyclocross worlds, gentlemen, take a look. The World Cyclocross Championships are happening in Tabor, Chechnya. Would anybody have known that it's in Chechnya right out of the gates? Right out of the Nope. And neither would I.
Where's Chechnya?
Over there.
I would say Eastern Europe.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah. Okay. Matthew's been talking about this perhaps being his last go at a rainbow in cross. So before we get to picking, who thinks that the quote all-around riders end quote are starting to feel the impact of such a brutal schedule? I mean, you're not seeing these guys road season, cross season, mountain bike included.
And I thought about
only
that.
do that for so long.
Yeah.
Well, I thought about it. When those guys, you had Pidcock at 3, Pidcock, Van Aert, and Vanderpool. Those three, everybody's like, because they were doing really well in road racing, and everybody's like, maybe cross is the answer. Now it's the other way around. They're feeling the pain, and we even talked about on the show back. Is like, you can't go full gas every day of the year round. And look at Wout. He's like, no, he's not doing worlds. He picked out a couple of races that he wanted to do, and that's fine. His focus is on classics.
Yeah.
You can't focus on all those. So it's not. I think it just depends on what. It was cool during that time. Those guys were rocking both cross and road. But
Would one say
anymore.
it was a Camelot moment?
Yes.
With those three gentlemen?
Yes.
See how I tied that all back?
Well, I think what those three really did, and people can come after me for saying this, but it really showed the lack in quality of the cross field.
What?
I think that those three bring those things.
Oh.
But I mean, don't get me wrong. They would. I'm not saying that I or any of us could ride at that quality. I'm not saying that. I don't want to be that armchair quarterback that say that I could do it better than them. I can't.
Sven Nys, all those guys. Yeah.
No. Sven Nys, different level.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the current era outside of those big three. But when we see three riders come into a field that have been training for that specific discipline year round, and they just kick everybody in the shins, it's like it almost to me showed that like they are training incorrectly, or something is that either we have just this unbelievable generation of these riders coming through, because when we see Mathieu van der Poel murder this this
group
Peloton group, whatever, or Wout van Aert, and then Ellie Iserbyt is like 5 minutes off. It really, to me, tells me that why aren't they up to par? Why can't they keep up?
What's going on?
If this is their sport, why can't they do it?
Yeah.
And to me, it I don't know. It makes me question like the quality of the current cyclocross field we have.
Somebody somewhere is screaming "doper" into their phone right now.
Oh, and somebody's probably saying, "Oh, he's wrong. This is like the best generation we've ever had." But it's like,
I think there's always there. I think you hit it a little bit. I think the talent we just hit of, even on the road, Pogacar, Vanderpool. I mean, they're doing things that no one's ever done
Pogacar's
before for a long
going back
time.
to the classic idea of a Giro and a Tour, and he's not riding them to participate.
Exactly, and even during Merckx's period, people forget about. I mean, there was a good group of riders, for classics. Roger de Vlaeminck, Walter Godefroot, Henny Kuipert. Those guys, those guys were always the ones to watch, and that Merckx didn't win every race, and those guys were just so. But after that, you just had like a select what we've been going through, and I think we hit a good batch again.
Yeah.
And Matthew Vanderpool's been even mentioning that there's a very strong chance that his mountain bike aspirations are going to go to the side, because he's talking about the fact that, obviously there's one that's a cash cow for him, and there's one that's going to be, the big career move for him. And,
I think him winning Worlds this year opened up his eyes massively to how legendary he can be.
It would be almost sad if he wins Worlds this weekend and doesn't race the cyclocross season really next year. Mm-hmm. It was kind of like when what's his name, the Russian guy, won the Olympic gold and then disappeared. What's his name? Who's in charge of Astana?
Alexander Vinokurov.
Yeah, I was thinking Abdujaparov.
Mm-hmm.
That's before that.
Well,
time.
he had a big nasty femur break in a crash. That's what kind of put him down a little bit. He did come back, but that was it.
Yeah. So looking at our start list, I have the men's and the women's in front of us, and I'm wondering if anybody's just going to go completely off the grid and try and go and pick somebody who might not be the guaranteed
We always
winner.
bank on Sam on that.
Yeah, Sam always just
It's America.
Yeah.
yeah. Or your brother.
Women
Like,
is
Pierce the Gon
America.
still racing?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is on the mountain bike. Is anybody picking somebody? We'll start with the men. Is anybody picking somebody other than Matthew Vanderpool for the win?
Nope.
No.
Not for the
I've
win.
got second and third, though.
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah,
Who's your
Michael Venturno.
Oh.
He's been he's had up and down season, but he had a good race last weekend. The first on Saturday, holding pretty much longer than anybody else on Matthew.
Yeah.
And then Prem Ronhaar, and I think he's Dutch national champion. He's young, and he's full of vinegar.
Does anybody have anybody other than that? I just picked the winner. I just picked Matthew because I think he's watching his attacks. Oh God, I miss watching bike racing in that last race where he was just. I didn't have the legs today, but he was just
moving past
another
gobs
world.
of people
my
uphill.
God. Yeah.
I think somebody who is to watch as one of those next generation type of riders that does it all is Thibaut Nice, Sven Nice's son, riding for Lidl Trek this year. I think that he's doing a little bit of both, so I'm interested to see what he can do down the line in both fields.
Yeah.
And we're not going to rule out some of these other guys doing it because we watched Wout van Aert almost going to the win last week and 2 weeks ago and taking it easy over two dismounts, breaking his saddle and falling down. I mean, those kind of things could happen.
And then winning.
Vanderpool went down, but Vanderpool went down in that race.
Yeah.
So we can't rule out mechanicals and somebody like Eli Iserbyt being able to take home something. On his own. Sam, you got it? Who'd you pick, Sam?
Yeah. So the other
on the
ones
second
were,
column?
Lars Vanderhaar and Lawrence Sweek.
Okay.
I like Lawrence Sweek.
Yeah. For the women, I didn't pick Van Apel.
Huh. Well, you're stupid.
Yeah.
She's the Vanderpool of the women's
I don't know
cross.
why.
I didn't pick her either.
I want Puck Peters to do something. So I that's who I picked.
Clara Hansinger.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to happen.
I have
Well, come on.
Van Empel to win, and then the rest of the podium is Lucinda Brandt because she's tough after breaking her nose and get back up and
Yeah,
one of
Jesus.
the next race she races. And then I have Puck Peters.
Yeah. Well, I might have picked a podium.
Yeah. I mean, I put Van Empel, who's going to win. And then, I don't know, I'd like to see Maglia Rochette from Canada be higher up in the, categorization. But let's be real. We all know what's going to happen.
Name Puck.
Right?
If I ever have, I'll probably name a dog Puck.
Read your Shakespeare, man.
Yeah,
Read your
that's
Shakespeare.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Or
Midsummer Night's
don't.
Dream.
It sucks. It's all.
Hey, Midsummer Night's Dream's a good show.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
well, I've got a lot of feelings about
Taming of the
Shakespeare
Shrew.
that I think that
Taming of
theater
the Shrew's
people
That's a
good.
good one,
love.
too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
No,
Yes, it is.
okay, wow.
All these are
Kiss
over
Me,
my
Kate.
head.
I did like that
Yeah.
one.
Did
Yeah.
you ever see that?
There
That
we
was
go. Yeah. All the adaptations. There we go. Let's jump to tonight's segments. I guess I could just play one bumper to take us into all of the segments tonight because we've got 3. we're first going to start off with fit tips with Bike Fit Sam and Ambassador Cycling. Get to ambassadorcycling.com. Book a meeting, and you're going to feel better in the long run, I promise.
They're picking up.
They are?
Fun. Yep. I've
Good.
had,
'Tis the season.
Yeah.
I don't know, 4 this week, or was this today, Tuesday? Something like that. Anyway, but yeah. What's your question?
Well, a friend of mine wants me to ask you about shoulders and wrists. And this actually made me think, because a long time ago I had an old friend, grade school friend that I grew up with, and who played football, high school football all the way through, and he actually played a little bit in college. And he did so much damage to his wrists that he wanted to get into cycling, but he could not ride a drop bar bike because his wrists were just absolutely
Shot.
just, no tendon left, basically, just bone on bone. And, and with this thing that I'm going through with these calcified tendons, I keep thinking of people with stiff shoulders, with, repaired rotator cuff kind of things like that. Is there a way to accommodate for those types of things? Because usually, I think about a bike fit being, this is your bike, this is how you're supposed to be most comfortable and most efficient. And if you start tweaking stuff based to accommodate for something like an injury, you're either becoming less efficient or you're compensating to another part of your body that you're eventually going to injure. Mm-hmm. How far off am I here?
No, you are spot on. But like, for instance, I have bad back, and so I have to have my hips more open. And how you do that is you move your seat forward. So I am out of the norm for that, but those are the things that we do to accommodate injuries. And that's what's cool about Bike Fit, is that we take into account the injuries that you have had through whatever you're living,
Yeah.
And we adjust the bike around that. So for a shoulder injury for your friend, I would do
I'm not putting mountain bike bars on my road bike. He's not.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah.
But just like sliding the seat a little bit further back, right? That's going to transfer weight more onto the back, the pedals, into the saddle, and then less into the hands. There should be less in the hands anyway, but that would be one way that I would favor it. And then maybe raising up the stem like 5 millimeters.
And because a lot of people are immediately going to think, oh, I have bad shoulders, I just need to put extra bar tape or a shock-absorbing stem.
Cold gel
pad. Yeah.
No.
All that kind of stuff. They just think padding is the solution.
Yeah, but honestly, I would also say that like Bike Fit isn't going to make the biggest difference for it. It's probably going to be like stretching, and PT is going to be the biggest one for shoulders, and knees would probably be like the two things that I'd be like, yeah, that's going to be easily fixed with PT over Bike Fit.
Over a position.
I got a question. So you move the seat back. Does that change to the seat height?
It does, yeah.
So then you better go get a fit.
Yeah,
it's not just a matter of pushing it back.
No, and a good rule of thumb, just if we're keeping it simple, because that's my motto, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
But if you move it back 1 centimeter, just to keep it math easy, go down 1 centimeter, just 1-to-1 ratio. And it depends on the seat angle, all that. But if you follow that, you're not going to make things worse or bad.
Yeah. So slow increments.
Yeah.
Move it back a little bit.
And down a little bit.
And then
if
it still doesn't work, back. Yeah.
Yep. Just keep inching down.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not, hey, I have a fondo tomorrow. You start effing.
No, don't do it the day before your race.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I had an Ironman person come in last year, and I was like...
So you can stop right there. But no,
yeah, right? Yeah, but, they were just like, yeah, I'm doing Ironman next week. I'm like...
Wrong time. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? You're doing Ironman next week. Why didn't you do this, like...
Ridiculous.
8 months ago.
Yeah.
Oh, 3 I could have dealt with.
Yeah.
But it's just like, so it's, do your Hail Marys and pray for the best.
Oh, my God. Yeah. That's like changing your diet, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm going to try this new stuff.
And you know what, though? Like, people are guilty of that. Like, we can all think of it like, well, day of, I'm going to need this extra. It's like, well, have you been using that in your training?
Yeah. No.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to take this gel because it has more energy in it than typical. And it's like...
rejection your body.
Yeah, I think anybody who's raced long enough has made that mistake. I know I have.
Or even worse, if you're at a race and there's a sponsor of a food or a liquid beverage that you're just like,
it's never tried before.
Yeah. That didn't happen to you at Belgian Waffle. That was just fatigue and everything like that made you sick at the end, right?
Yeah.
You didn't eat anything out of the normal on that.
No.
I think I did. I was like taking those salt tabs or something like that. Just going, just give me whatever you have.
Yeah.
I just need anything. If somebody would have handed me a handful of meth, I probably would have chewed it down. I would have just been like, hey, what are the calories?
Start tweaking.
Yeah, exactly.
I do feel better.
Yeah. Wow, it
Watch
works.
me dance.
Okay, thanks, man. Next, we're gonna go with Changing Times with Paul Main, one of our newest segments and things like that. We get, and it isn't just a grumpy old man talking about how he used to be better.
I try
than
not
others.
to,
But
it's
it's kinda.
like, it's easy.
Yeah.
So the one thing I want to talk about is shifting. Like I mentioned before, I was trying to get my winter bike or the bike that I slapped together. And it's
When the weather
some of
got well.
Yeah, right before the weather got really good.
Yeah.
And I missed it. But I think a little bit of cockiness that I can slap this thing together, and in the group that I have, it's a SRAM red. So I have the shifters on what we integrated shifter and brake levers, and I thought back, like I could have put this thing together, like probably within 2 hours of my original bike.
Yeah.
It was so simple. It was quiet. And then so I started thinking about shifting. So I did a little research. And what really changed, basically, the derailleur, and it was all friction shifting.
Yeah.
And Pat and I have bragged about this beautiful shifting during the friction period. It's called Simplex.
Yeah.
Retro friction.
I can't believe I don't
Campy
have any
had
up
their
there on
version
the
and
wall.
stuff. And it was because the derailleurs were all designed to have a heavy spring that when you shift up into a lower gear, you're fighting that spring. And every other shifter had a nylon bushing in there. And there's times where it gets stuck and you'd overshift. And it was a pain in the ass. And Simplex was heaven.
Pros, the Renault Elf team was not necessarily sponsored by Simplex.
No, they were Campy. Yeah.
But they would buy Simplex shifters
Yeah,
and put them on their
everybody
on their
ran
Campy
Simplex.
bikes. Yeah.
Everybody threw the Campy shifters away.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that, to me, kind of started that was like foreshadowing how Campy and shifting got into Index.
Yeah.
They never really got into the group. I think that's kind of hurt them.
Beginning of the end.
They've had some adequate, and I ran Campy Ergo back in the day, like in 90.
I did too.
I think it came out in 92. I have a list to start. But
Yeah.
what really happened is Shimano got into the game, and they tried to get more people into bikes. They created, it was called Positron, and it was the first Index in 1977. And it was, but you had to have two cables to do that, to move the derailleur.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was really bizarre. So in the 80s, they started doing SIS, which is Shimano Index System.
Yeah.
And that, I remember thinking, this is the dumbest thing in the world. I mean, because I had retro friction. I never missed a shift. I never overshifted. If you ride enough, friction was fine. You really didn't need Index. And you could hear somebody in the back going, click. And to me, it was like the sign of a beginner. You don't even know how to shift. You got to have, it's like an automatic transmission. You don't even have to know how to ride a stick, drive a stick. That.
And you had to make sure your shift lever was always in the right position.
On
it's like
friction.
playing a trombone. It's like playing a trombone. If that position of the trombone is a millimeter left or right, it's going to change the note, and you would be in between gears in that situation. So
So you would hear people grind me a pound.
Yeah.
To trim it
God,
out.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Shimano too that did that? Like the chain ring kept moving, but the crank, like the freewheel was on the chain ring.
Free. That was. I know Schwinn had that.
Schwinn did it.
Yeah, the first, and there's
Okay.
been different. So that's basically what e-bikes do right now,
Yeah.
right?
I thought it was like
That's
the
a-
BioPace or something.
But they still
like
have the
that.
freewheel. But the thing is that that's part of the problem. The
Drivetrain
guy
was
that we were
always moving.
we know,
Yeah.
Mr. Bozo,
Yeah.
and his e-bike is that the lifting pins are in different position.
Yeah.
So it was throwing the
It's a
chain
mess.
off, not where you crank and put power. The pins are in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
for
Oh,
lifting
man.
up.
Oh, man.
So anyway, I was just thinking about that and the progression, and looking back at how fast things change. So 80s Index shifting, and then in 1990, 89, actually, Phil Anderson helped Shimano develop the STI, which is, what was it, Shimano Total Control, Total
integration.
Integration,
maybe?
total
Yeah,
integration.
yeah.
That's what it was. So that's what that started everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, when I saw that, because I poo-pooed anything from Shimano, and I'm like, shit, this is a thing.
It changed.
You
It changed the game in
you
crits.
didn't
Yeah.
keep your hands on the bars.
Yeah. And I still was a little bit, because what happened in the old
Because
days,
you
could,
are you.
Yeah, and I am me. But with friction, everybody had I like running Satis silver chains with my Campy, and I use Suntour free wheels. I mean, you could select. You knew what worked for you.
Yeah.
What happened when Shimano started doing the index? It started creating nothing is compatible. You have to buy into that
It was
system.
spacing issues. Yeah.
And then, of course, in order to get the performance, that's what we all did. So 1990, we had Shimano with STI. 2 years later, here comes Campy on their version, Ergo.
Yeah.
And then SRAM they were just into grip shift. So from 1990, which didn't seem that long ago to me, but things just went like bang, 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 and you started going all these multiple speeds, and now we're in electronic. And it's kind of interesting where if I had today's bike, I was sitting there thinking while I was putting that bike together with hoses and everything, that is a day.
Yeah.
That is, if I don't do it, it's all
There's
day
only 2
long.
lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just to get the hoses in there, and if you have a brand new bike, with Shimano you have to program. You still have to program with SRAM a little bit. Not that it's difficult, but it takes a long time to get that bike set up.
I'm only playing devil's advocate just because like it is quite a simple system, but I do agree with you. I tore my dad's Serrata down last year and rebuilt it, and it took me all of like 2 hours to tear everything off of that and rebuild it.
Granted, I've been doing it since 1985, so but on simple stuff.
That's where, and I'm gonna say it. That's where a group like Cycle Systems is such a great asset to have those kind of classes where you can watch somebody do it and then have the guts to tackle it yourself. It's because I agree. It's beyond an engineering degree now. It's
crazy.
past that.
It was so simple, and it was the average guy. But I think also there's some benefits to it. I have to. I don't know because I haven't truly experienced other than riding a couple of electronic groups.
Yeah.
It's really hard. Yeah, it's just better. I don't think it's going to win you a race as opposed to, the total brake lever, shift lever between that.
Yeah.
And even clipless pedals. And, I mean, there's some...
Those are jumps.
And even headsets, difference from our threaded compared to threadless, what we used to call threadless headset, which we run today. Those are big, and sealed bottom brackets. Those are big advancements.
Yeah.
So
there we go.
That was that.
Lastly, but not leastly, we're going to finish off with Jackson and his segment Style Points. He even brought his iPad in. I didn't realize that you and I have the same color iPad. I bought a new iPad.
But the blue one?
We got blue.
Cute.
Man.
Anyways.
Cute.
So, I know that Paul might need to leave a little early, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
And if you do, it's all good.
I don't care.
Yeah, in about 4 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, I decided to, because I'm thinking about this year making a sunglasses change.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, yeah. But I'm not going to say, because that might sway how you feel about this whole thing. I went through each and every World Tour men's team. I apologize that I didn't have the time after I got home from work to go through the whole women's World Tour, but I will another day. And I went through each and every team, and I saw what their sunglass sponsor was, and I picked the most popular one, and I wanted to play a game.
Oh boy.
Where we all either love it or hate it. You don't get a middle choice because we live in a polarizing society, and why change?
Yeah.
So I will hold the the giant of this, the Goliath of this whole industry to the end, and I will show you pictures of each team's, and I even have like what they're named, what team rides them, all that stuff. I don't have the price because
it doesn't matter.
if it's style, you're gonna buy it.
Yeah.
So first of all is KOO or Koo, and Bora Hansgrohe rides this brand. They did change from 100% over the last year.
Yeah.
Yes. So
we should have projected this.
It's all good. This is the
It's okay.
KOO. I even have the name of it, Alibi.
Alibi. Okay.
So if you like this brand, look it up. Love it or hate it?
Love it.
Love it.
It's got a rounded bottom to it, so I'll say I love it.
Okay, love it, Paul.
Paul,
man.
it's gonna be hard with Paul. He's
Yeah.
gonna
He's
be
not
like,
going to wear any of them.
He's gonna hate
He's
them
going to
all.
hate it all.
I would say I love it. That's traditional.
Okay.
yeah, that's
Great. Yeah, kind of a top frame, no bottom frame.
Yeah.
I am a love it.
Okay.
I would go love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like a bigger glasses. I like that we're going kind of that way a little bit. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Next we have Sun God, which
Ah,
is
Garant.
yes.
Love it.
So Sun God did do a specific Garant Thomas one,
They
and
had
I think
to do the white frame.
yes, they did, and they made it look like the white frames. However, Ineos rocks these. These are called the. Let me look. The Vulcans, and even in an Ineos Grenadiers color frame. Sam, what do you think?
I don't love it.
I don't
So
love it
hate?
either. So
I hate it, yeah.
if
Hate
it's
it,
love or
hate it?
hate, I'm gonna have to say hate.
Paul,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, again, it's not offensive. I'll just say love it. To me, like glasses are so close together now.
Yeah.
It's the same
Yeah,
design.
That's really
Yeah,
close.
it
There's
very
something
much
across
is.
Yeah.
like the top bar that
Yeah.
I don't really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what I find interesting is it's the colorway.
Yeah.
I think the colorway changes it.
Yeah.
I love it. I like the Ineos colorway, and I like that kind of bigger frame. Next, we have 100%, which I rode for a bunch of years. Great pair of glasses. Stay on your face the whole time. Don't have to worry about anything. But the teams that ride it now are Lidl Trek, Total Energies, and Movistar, which I forgot about.
Yeah.
So are teams sponsored by sunglasses
Yeah,
nowadays? Because
cases,
it used
yeah.
to just be
used
the
to be
athlete.
individual.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
think
because
it's a lot more team-oriented.
like I said, I went
Yeah.
through each and every World Tour team, and each of them have a specific
Eyewear
team
sponsor,
eyewear sponsor. These are the 100%. These are the Lidl Trek colorway. So they are kind of a.
No, I
think it's
hate
the
it.
color.
So Paul hates it.
I hate the where they take the nose piece down underneath the
Do ya?
lens. Yeah, I don't like that.
Okay, these are the speed crafts for those of you that want to know.
I love it.
Pat loves it. Sam, what do you
I
think?
love it.
I also love it. These are some of my favorite World Tour glasses.
Yeah.
By the way, the Sun God. You boys. Oh, I already mentioned what the Sun Gods were. Next, we have second most teams sponsored by this brand, Ikoi, which is Arkea B&B, Lotto Destiny, Israel
EKOI.
Premier Tech, yes, and Cofidis.
Aren't they Belgian?
I don't know.
If they are, I like it.
Paul already loves it.
These are the Ikois.
Hate it.
I like
Hate
it.
Hates it.
I like
Paul
it.
loves
a
Reminds me
lot.
of the Viper glasses that you see.
That looks a little pit viper.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm gonna say hate.
I
Hate.
hate it. Everything that Ikoi puts out, I despise.
Hate
You're
it.
just opposite on all of us with us here.
Next, Rudy Project, the only
Hate.
team
Hate
I
it.
loved my old school Bernardino Rudy.
The
projects.
only team in the entire Pro Peloton that rides at this bar in Victorious. These are the red
Hate.
versions.
Nope, hate it.
Hate it.
Sorry.
You look like a stormtrooper.
Oh, I can't go in
hate it.
between. Yeah, it's too square. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to say
hate
hate.
it.
I hate it too. It's 7:20, by the way. Do you need
Yeah, one more because
Okay.
this is fun.
Next we have.
They're going to start the game without me.
Yeah.
So,
Next they have Age Duzer, which I find very weird that they are only sponsored by Van Riesel everything. These are the Van Riesels.
Oh,
nope.
I have to stick to what I said last time. I hate it.
I
hate
hate
it,
it
hate
too.
I don't
Yeah.
like it when it comes out below the
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
I
And
like
it looks huge.
Yeah.
They look gigantic.
By the way, the Rudy projects were called the Kellyon, the Van Riesels. I didn't have a name for it because the whole website
It's
was
just Van
French.
Riesel. Oh,
POC, only team in the Pro Peloton, EF.
yeah. First,
These are
Hate.
the
you're gonna hate them.
Hate it.
Yeah,
these are
hate
the
it.
Aspires.
God, I wanted
That's
to
something
like
I
'em.
would do when I was building frames. I'd wear something like that. It's like safety
The,
goggles.
the temples are so thick.
Yeah.
The temples
Yeah,
are
that's
so
what I
thick
hate.
they look like safety goggles.
That actually,
Yeah.
I think style-wise, I like the thick
I like the
temple.
Do
piece.
ya?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not for cycling.
Yeah.
I love them. I think they're
Uh-huh.
so cool. Next we have Julbo or Yoblo or Yolbo is FDJs. These are called the frequencies. I will give my opinion before. I think these are the ugliest glasses in the entire rotation.
No, I don't like it. No.
I don't think they're the ugliest, but I do not like them.
Don't hate them. I like them. I
Yeah.
love. I'm gonna say I love.
How many more?
We have 4 more.
Oh, I gotta go.
Okay.
Paul's got to go.
Later,
See ya.
Paul.
Thanks,
Good night,
guys.
Paul.
Yeah, good night, Paul.
Everybody
Good
say
to have
good night
you.
to Paul.
Zags.
Go
Yeah.
Zags.
All right, next we have, maybe while Paul's here for a couple of seconds, we
Yeah.
have the Uvexes. These are
Oh.
called, the worst name in the entire lineup, the Sport Style 236 set.
That's Intermarché.
It is Intermarché. That is the only brand that is sponsored by
German.
this.
German.
Vomit.
No.
Yeah, I don't like
Yeah.
the neon. And that's
Paul
their
doesn't-
deal.
Paul
And that's
hates vomit,
Intermarché. It goes off
everything.
that color. I'm
It's
going to have
tough.
to say I hate it.
Yeah.
That bumps me out because I root
See you,
for-
Paul. This is a brand I don't quite know how to pronounce, but it is Scion Sport, SCICON.
You're right.
The Aero Shade XL, Jayco Alula and UAE are sponsored by this. I love. And
Whoa.
it might just be because I'm a Tade fan.
That's a thick frame.
It reminds me of Oakley Jawbones, and I think I have to make a decision. So I think
That's a little too
I have
much
to
for me.
say love, but I really wish that it had less on the bottom.
It's a little too much for me. I'm gonna have to say. I can't say I like, so I'm gonna have to say hate.
Yeah, Tade rides one with like a winged frame, like a frameless on the bottom, but it's got like a wing to it.
You guys, we all have to agree that cycling sunglasses should never be worn off the bike.
100%.
Never.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at
pun
these glasses.
intended.
Those are really cool, but they would look absolutely horrific.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful.
Even walking up to registration, I wouldn't put them on.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Those are, I already said before, the Aero Shade XL. Next we have Scott. DSM is the only brand that is sponsored by Scott now.
Wow.
So these are called the, what are they called? Torica. What do we think?
Ooh.
Hate it.
That looks like a safety goggle.
I hate them too.
I hate 'em.
I think Scott went the way of 2011 cycling, 2010 cycling, and it's not something that I like.
Rounded.
Yeah.
And I don't,
Yeah.
once again, coming out not on top of the bridge.
Yeah.
And so by far the giant of the entire sport is Oakley, which is sponsored by six different teams: Soudal Quickstep, Vismo Lisa Bike, Canyon SRAM, Fenix Deceuninck, Alpecin Deceuninck, and Astana.
Yeah.
All of
because
those.
of Mark Cavendish.
Right. Exactly. Now for this, I have two different frame styles. First one is the Sutro, which I feel like is
I'd wear those.
popular sunglass.
I'd love those.
I love.
I don't love, but I love more than I hate.
Yeah.
The price point with Oakley is what kills me.
I know.
Well, yeah, and
We're spending $300 on a pair of sunglasses. That's that's insanity.
So I want you guys to embrace.
I hate it. I already know.
I want you
hate
guys
it.
to embrace your inner fashionista. I don't care.
Oh, I hate
That's
it.
your
I do
job.
not care. These are the Katos.
I hate it.
I hate
Yep. it.
the
I hate
blends
that
over
there's
the
not-
nose.
And the frame doesn't connect all the way down. Like, it turns into just lens.
Every time I would reach up to wipe my nose, I would make my lenses dirty, and I am OCD when it comes to dirty lenses. That would make
Think
me...
about how much sweat you'd have
Oh,
in this region
it's
because
just
it's
so
like
bad.
sealed to there.
Yeah, you love them, don't you, Jackson?
These are going to be my new sunglasses for the 2024 season.
Ah.
Oakley Katos. You will see me in them. I love them. I think they're so cool.
I guess I shouldn't pursue an eyewear sponsor.
I think they are a silhouette that we have not seen in cycling for a very long time, and that's why I like them a lot. Because everybody looks
They
at you and
stand
they're
out.
like, "What?" Yeah, they stand out. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell are you wearing? I got to know more about them. I think they're so cool.
Okay.
Yeah,
So that was
I get it. It's not my style.
yeah,
I
and
don't
that's what I
like
think
it.
is so fun about cycling is we all have such different tastes. Some people would like those Scots that we all hated,
Yeah.
and some people would despise the Sutros that we all love
And
from Oakley.
certain faces fit certain frames so well.
100%.
Like,
Yeah.
I might not be a fan of whatever Ayula Jayco is riding, but I'm going to see Michael Matthews in him this summer, and I'm going to be like, okay, those look cool now.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think an honorable mention for this entire segment does belong to 100%. I think that they have such a wide variety of frame shapes
do.
that can fit anybody's face shape, all the way from Nairo Quintana to the biggest face in the world.
Yeah.
They fit well, they ride well, and they're really cool.
There's a brand you didn't include that I'm also going to throw out there too is Tifosi, who makes a
Budget
big
friendly.
variety, budget friendly, and a big variety.
And
of
Yeah.
frame.
Smith.
Yeah,
I've always
I haven't
rocked
ridden Smiths
Smith.
in a long time.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Smith
Mm-hmm.
last year. Ajay Duzere rode Smith. They don't anymore, and so I was like I thought Smith was going to be on the World Tour this year, but
Yeah, you picked World Tour team
Yeah.
glasses. Okay.
Yeah.
That was a good segment, Jackson.
That was
nice
incredible.
job.
I appreciate that.
I like
Yeah.
that. I like that. All right, so
Taking us out.
I am going to take us out. That one? No. I like this one. And to take us out, I have a final question, and you guys got to be quick about it, and you can't name names. Of all the people, teammates, and friends, quote unquote, who was one that just never stood a chance? It's like you're a teammate. You were a teammate with him, and it was just like, no, man, this ain't just no. It never stood a chance. You don't need to name
Like, because I
names,
was always going to beat them?
or they were just bad teammates. Did you?
Oh, my brother. I'm just kidding.
I don't know if I should legally answer this question because all of my teammates, are practically in this room or listening to what's going on. So
okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me because I was thinking of some teammates over the years that I've had, and one of them in particular was always attacking, even though I was the chosen leader for that day. Or I have another one who I rode with at the Olympic Training Center, who went on to bigger and better things. He was always half wheeling you because it was a dick measuring contest every time we rode, and I just hate those kind of people.
I mean, I had those teammates too on the bigger squads.
Yeah.
But
all right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Please subscribe to the show, to our YouTube channel, and be sure to check out packfiller.com. It helps so much. Thank you guys for being here.
thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.